Well, hello, everybody. Hello to our loyal viewers, and welcome to yet another episode of Entre News, our occasional interview series here at the Network for Teaching Entrepreneurship, NIFTY, featuring some of the great lights in the firmament of the entrepreneurship education sky. Today, I am really pleased because I am joined by two of NIFTY's historic and long-standing partners and two leaders from those organizations. So let me welcome Erika Patterson, EY America's Corporate Responsibility Leader, and Katie Booth, CSR Director of the Americas at SAP. Both EY and SAP viewers have been longtime supporters of NIFTY through volunteerism, through their generous financial contributions, and their thought partnerships. So let's get right into the discussion. And Erika, I'd like to start with a question for you. A centerpiece of EY's culture is building a better working world. So how is investing in the next generation of diverse entrepreneurs and business leaders building a better working world for all of us?
Well, first of all, thank you. Let me start by saying that thank you for having me, and truly for the deep relationship and partnership of both of our organizations. We have been collaborating for a really long time, for a lot of years, and for me personally, it's one of the most valued relationships that we have. And on behalf of EY and speaking on behalf of all of our folks, I really do just want to commend you, JD, and your entire team for all of the great work that y'all do in the community. So thank you again for having me. But, it's a great question. Building a better working world is truly the centerpiece of our culture, right? It's who we are, it's our purpose. And the answer is simple. We know that entrepreneurial skills, like the ability to take initiative and think on your feet, critically solve problems, communicate effectively, are really just essential to career success. And while greater diversity in our future entrepreneurs has an impact on jobs, the economy, and overall equity, we also know that an entrepreneurial mindset yields both better business leaders and truly a more dynamic workforce. So at EY, we support young people and underserved groups. We've been doing that for a lot of years. It is the cornerstone, of our corporate engagement strategy. But we know that young folks, underserved groups, need the access to education. They need the access to mentorship, and they need the experiences that really guide them on a trajectory to reach their full potential. And finally, I would say that, they need distinctively those human qualities that support professional evolution in a rapidly shifting world, the ability to adapt, the desire to constantly learn new things, and the capacity to innovate better answers to complex questions. So teaching entrepreneurship, we know, can really help accomplish those goals.
Well, hearing you talk about that, it's no surprise that our two organizations have had a relationship that spans more than 2 decades. We're so aligned on the power of entrepreneurship education to change lives and to change the world. Katie, similar question for you. Why do you think it's important for organizations like SAP to focus on corporate social responsibility, and how is giving back in this way good for business?
Yeah. Echoing everything that Erika said, thank you so much for including SAP in this web series, and really excited to be here today and chat with everybody. I think when we think about corporate social responsibility, a little bit of a bigger view, right? Widening the lens. There are a couple of reasons that this makes a lot of sense. One is there are some pretty serious challenges facing the world, from climate change to mounting inequalities. We know a lot of the progress that had been made to alleviate poverty globally was basically taken back through COVID. So we know we have a lot of work to do at the really high levels around inequality and poverty alleviation. So I think that's something that we all need to be working towards, including big companies. There's also a lot of increased pressure from not only consumers, but also governments also people that are investing in companies to start thinking about business as more than just the bottom line and looking to businesses to make investments in areas in their own people that are not 100% solely focused on profit. So for those two reasons, it makes a lot of sense for big companies, but really any size company, to be thinking about how they can create this kind of value system within their core business operations.
Thank you for that. And, it resonates so much because, as we know, and as you just said, inequality is perhaps the most pressing problem that we face around the world. And a company such as SAP, which is at the cutting edge of innovation and technology, has a fantastic opportunity to mitigate inequality. Yeah. That's not always the case with companies in your sphere. I mean, they're sometimes criticized for doing the opposite. So it's really great that your company has leaned into understanding the relationship between the two. Now, Erika, back to you for a second. So you and I have spent some time together at a fantastic event that EY puts on annually, the Strategic Growth Forum. You've spent time recently with Sulianne Mira, one of our recent alumna, who has a fantastic product called Handy Bandy, which is a hair product to help people with limited arm and hand mobility style their hair. You spent time with Jose Rodriguez, our national winner from a couple of years ago, whose apparel company Tazium, it's a play on autism, the name, is producing fidget toy infused apparel and clothing to help people with disabilities. I see you in action with our students, and you take such good care of them. And thank you for that, first of all. But what is it about working with nifty students and alumni that invigorates you?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. Let me start by saying, first of all, it's one of my favorite events, truly. And I still, by the way, have stayed connected with both Jose and Sulianne. So for me, it absolutely is an honor and a privilege. But what I'd say more broadly, right, is truly just their commitment and innovation. It is absolutely inspiring. And their bravery and their courage, right, to get up on stage and to pitch their company, their ideas in front of, a room full of, quite frankly, thousands of people is just absolutely, it's just inspirational. And, once they have an idea, they're persistent with making it a reality. And I think it sets an example for all of us. When you apply yourself, you can fulfill your mission and your purpose. And it highlights really how so many of the ideas about what we should aspire to do differently as a whole really comes from our young people. And, secondly, I would just offer that, we love how passionate our EY volunteers are about being, about helping nifty students succeed. Our people galvanize around the nifty students. We have such a breadth of knowledge that nifty students really benefit from. And to see them working together really reminds us every day why our partnership with Nifty is so important. And it's a wonderful way to really just connect the leaders of today with the leaders of tomorrow.
I know that Jose and Sulianne really think about their time up there on the Strategic Growth Forum stage, which, by the way, when they're not up there, corporate leaders and politicians and CEOs and media figures and celebrities are also on that stage.
Absolutely.
To have them up that stage on the same stage is like a transformative, life-changing moment for them. They've both remarked on that to me, and that's so special. Thank you to you and EY for including not just them, but many nifty learners in that venue.
Absolutely. And let me just add really quickly, if I may, that the work that your team does really underscores, again, the commitment that you all have to these kids, preparing them. They're not getting on stage, just, by happenstance. The work that you and your entire team really puts into developing those students, and then once the student is selected, just really developing, their pitch and, making sure they're ready for prime time should also be acknowledged and commended. So thank you.
Well, thank you. We appreciate that. And Katie, the same level of corporate involvement with NIFTY is true for SAP as well. Over the years, you've featured us and our work in internal corporate events. You provide leaders as volunteers throughout our classrooms in America and around the world. Your board leadership on our national board as well. What new corporate social responsibility initiatives at SAP are you most excited about? And how will these initiatives impact communities?
Yeah, thanks for asking that. I think there are two that I'll share right now, and I'll try to keep it brief because these are like babies. So I could talk forever because I get so fired up about the work that I get to do. So one is a program called the Skill Immersion Lab. This is in partnership with Jobs for the Future, which is another really big player when we think about skills and employability in the United States. We've worked with them to create essentially, we're trying to create a proof point that virtual reality learning can be really powerful for all students, specifically high school students that don't typically have first access to that technology. We know virtual reality training, especially around skills like communication and change management, is really popular and really effective for adults in a lot of corporate environments. But what happens if we give this to high school learners? And so we're doing a lot of work with them to develop programs that are, no surprise, showcasing that this is also super effective for high school learners. So when we think about what kind of communities we want to impact and what the impact is, for a project like that, we're really thinking about systems change and how do we showcase something, create stories that want and call for investments from other companies, from governments, to showcase this kind of learning as a really effective tool for all types of learners, not just learners that can afford it necessarily. The other one is around a social entrepreneurship partner called Changemaker Exchange. We have supported now a couple of summits for their social entrepreneurs. They're a global nonprofit that creates a lot of capacity building and network building for founders. And we supported last year a cohort, we could say, that was North America focused for female and non-binary change makers that have solutions in companies focused on climate change and the environment. So we're growing that this year to a couple of other global regions. And the cohorts that wrapped up in North America and in EMEA are now moving on to more capacity building, pro bono support. How do we go deeper with these change makers?
Wow, that's fantastic. And I have to say, in both cases, once again, SAP is on the cutting edge of things. I feel like these days I cannot go a day without seeing some consequential story on AI or ChatGPT or virtual reality or the metaverse.
Yeah.
And so the fact that you're leaning into that as an educational method is definitely, where the puck is going. As a matter of fact, in our global work, we've experimented with VR as a way for global students to connect with each other. And I have to say, the experience was really positive. And your work to invest in excluded communities and to support their entrepreneurial ventures, we know this well from our history at NIFTY, because we are working with founders who, come from marginalized circumstances, but who are as smart and talented and driven and ambitious as anyone else. And we know that it's just a matter of education and support that can make the crucial difference. So let me ask a question that pivots off of a couple things you've already each brought up. And this question is for both of you. We'll go to Erika first and then to Katie. So the relationships that EY and SAP volunteers have built with our students and alumni have been just so beneficial to NIFTY students' entrepreneurial journeys, as well as for their career ambitions. So one example of that is SAP's recent fireside chat with NIFTY alumni participating in our Founders Forum program. Another example is EY's business plan coaching for NIFTY students participating in our World Series of Innovation program. As a matter of fact, EY won our 2022 Nifty Corporate Volunteer Award for these very contributions, and SAP won this same recognition just a couple of years before. So why is volunteering central to each of your give back strategies? What does it mean to your employees? And I wonder if you can tell us about a specific volunteer experience that stands out in each of your minds. Erika, you want to go first?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, great questions, JD. I think simply put for EY, and I've said this before, and it will come to no surprise for, some of the folks who are, who'll tune in. And that is that, at EY, we believe that business can be a force for social good. And for us, it really just means using our business skills, our knowledge, our experience to strengthen our community so we can positively impact the lives of millions of people. And we do that, and I probably should have mentioned this early on, but we do that through we call them our ripple strategy in 3 key focus areas. And it is supporting the next generation, working with impact entrepreneurs, and advancing environmental sustainability. So the 90,000 plus, employees who make up EY Americas, really take pride in knowing that, their skills, really is making a difference in the communities where they live and work. And, in EY Americas, our corporate responsibility function sits, in the talent function. So that's unique in and of itself, right? We know that a lot of CR functions, may sit within, communications, may sit within public affairs or other groups, but we sit squarely within the talent function. So for us, it really is everything that we do relative to corporate responsibility is focused on our employee, right? Their experience, their development, their performance, fulfillment, and really just helping them to accelerate, becoming that transformative leader and developing the lifelong skills that they need, building the relationships and gaining, those invaluable experiences. And then the third part, a volunteer experience that stands out. There's many, but one of the things that really is special to me, JD, is really just the countless thank you emails, thank you notes that I get directly from our beneficiaries, specifically students in a lot of cases, but also our volunteers, thanking, EY, thanking us, thanking the team for just that experience, right? So connecting, from a volunteer perspective, connecting the volunteer to the student, and then obviously the student, Miss Patterson, we really want to thank you. It's the little things too, sometimes for the lunch that, that you all provided. But I tell you, those thank you notes really add up and really just, underscore for me the value of the work that we're doing, not just in the communities, but certainly the value to our volunteers, our EY people.
I so know what you mean. When the volunteer and student relationship goes well, each party gives as much as they get, and they can give and get a lot. Katie, same question for you. Tell us about volunteerism and what SAP volunteers get out of the experience, and any special stories you'd like to share.
Yeah, I think we feel the same in that our employees are how we get to our social good is really through them. We've seen a really big shift, I'd say, over the last few years of moving away from what we might call traditional volunteering. That's more physical, not moving away from that, but really empowering our employees and training our employees to lead those opportunities on our own, and shifting more of the corporate social responsibility team's focus towards skills-based volunteering and pro bono consulting. And so that's an area that I see just transformative change happen very, very quickly with our employees, and also with the social enterprises or nonprofits that they are serving through pro bono service. I think a specific experience for me like Erika, I don't necessarily have one that I've participated in, but I have the privilege of attending a lot of closing events. We do a lot of pro bono programs that are in cohorts, and we've moved to doing a lot of these virtually. So I'm able to, dial into the Zoom where we might have 15 SAP employees who served 5 different businesses, right? Over the period of 2 months, creating really clear deliverables. And essentially, these calls are to reflect and also hand over and share the outcomes of the pro bono project. And I was shocked at how transformative this could be virtually. I think we have a long history, over 10 years, of having our employees travel around the world to do pro bono consulting in person. And we were not sure how that would translate virtually. And what we've seen is that it's still really impactful and really important, which is exciting for us because it means we can scale those programs and grow those programs in ways that are lower touch for the corporate social responsibility team. So I think something that is always impactful for me is hearing the stories of our employees and how they've been transformed through these leaders that they're serving. And also what you hear time and time again from the leaders that are receiving pro bono support is, wow, I'm really thinking differently. Mm-hmm. And that's also what we hear from our employees. Wow, I'm really thinking differently. I took this entrepreneur's challenge and now I'm thinking differently about my workday and how I'm solving problems in my job at SAP. So I think it's really exciting to me that we can harness this power of virtual pro bono consulting and not feel like we have to fly people everywhere, and know that it can be really impactful virtually. So when we talk about volunteering, that's an area of volunteering that I'm really excited about growing within SAP.
We're excited about growing it at Nifty as well. And, we too were ambivalent when the pandemic came and we had to switch to all virtual volunteering, mm-hmm. because, prior to 2019, mostly Nifty volunteers, corporate and community volunteers, would travel to a local school, mm-hmm. to provide one-on-one, hands-on mentoring and skill building, as well as pro bono opportunities like you were describing, Katie. And we weren't so sure whether it would work virtually, but we discovered happily, it was one of the few silver linings of the pandemic, that the model really works. And so now that are we over the pandemic? I can never tell, but now that we're mostly over the pandemic, and schools are back to in-person modalities, we actually have maintained a combination of in-person volunteering and virtual volunteerism, because like you said, you can scale it, and we've seen that you can do it with quality. So, well, it's almost time to wrap up, and I'd like to close with a question about each of you personally. So Nifty and our model, so that we are all about the entrepreneurial mindset. 8 domains like communication, collaboration, problem solving, future orientation, ability to manage risk, ability to spot opportunities. What entrepreneurial mindset characteristics, attitudes, behaviors, and skills have been most important to you? Each of you is a fantastic woman leader in a global organization. And there are viewers, young viewers, as well as older viewers, who are watching this right now, who see you as models. And so I'm curious to know, what entrepreneurial mindset domains do you think have been important to you in your own career journeys? Erika?
Wow, that's a good question, JD. First of all the ones that you mentioned, but I think for me personally, there's several that really, really resonate. I would say, first of all, the importance of networking. I think I can speak for both Katie and I when I say that neither of us would be in the position that we are in without building that network. And it's interesting, we're sort of closing out, right? National Mentoring Month. And when I think about where I am today in my career, both, personally and professionally, it is absolutely due in large part to that, my ability to network and, create that village mentors and coaches that really have just guided me every step of the way. So I would say the importance of networking, one. And then secondly, I would say, just surrounding myself with people who force me or encourage me or support me to really think outside of the box, right? And to step outside of my comfort zone. I mentioned earlier about, both Sulianne and Jose just demonstrating courage and getting on that stage at SGF in front of 1,000 of, CEOs, celebrities, media personalities, but really just, empowering me to just be courageous in everything, that I do. And I think that's really important when you're talking about that entrepreneurial mindset.
Thank you so much. Katie, how about for you?
Yeah, when I was thinking about this, I broke it apart into two pieces. One, I think, is me personally navigating my career transitions. How did I decide this was the career that I wanted? And when I think about that, it's really like initiative and self-reliance in some ways of really chasing something, doing a lot of very, very specific work to get to one place. And of course, there's risk in there. So comfort with risk, I think, also came up a lot as I was doing some reflection. I've been at SAP for over 10 years, always within the same function, but having a few really great promotions. And I think within SAP, it's really the collaboration and communication that has enabled me to, Erika, exactly, build networks, right? And also show collaborative spirit, even when maybe it's not actually possible to collaborate. So I think a lot of what we do in our role is hear from people that want to get involved, but it's our job to guide them towards existing programs or challenge them to think a little bit differently. So I think communication and collaboration, I would say, is what has enabled me to have a really successful career in social impact within one really large company. Over all of it, I would say is future orientation. I think that's something that a leader really has to have, especially as they grow in their career, is being able to have a big picture mindset and look 5-10 years down the road at what they want for themselves and their communities and their families, but also for their programs. So I think personally and professionally, the future mindset is a really, really big one.
Wow. Well, thank you for zooming in so acutely into multiple of the entrepreneurial mindset domains. And so viewers, you heard it here from the founts of wisdom: communication, collaboration, future orientation, comfort with risk, develop and lean on those networks, and challenge yourself to get out of your comfort zone. I think that we would wholeheartedly endorse that message that you just gave here to our viewers. What a fantastic conversation. I'm really honored and pleased and privileged to have spent this time with you. And viewers, I really want you to take a good look at the screen, because you are seeing two fantastic, phenomenal leaders who care about you, who care about entrepreneurship education, who care about the learning of diverse learners in the US and around the world. And you're looking at two leaders whose companies have supported Nifty so robustly over the years. We can't do it without the support of partners like SAP and EY, and we can't do it without the support of leaders like the two of you. So Erika Patterson of EY, Katie Booth of SAP, thanks again for spending time with us. And thank you, viewers, for spending some time with us for this latest episode of Entre News. Stay tuned, because we have more great episodes coming up every few weeks. So stay tuned to the web, stay tuned to our email and social media channels, and you can pick up on all the latest and greatest conversations. I'm JD LaRock, President and CEO of Nifty. Take care.